Yeah, why is it that only sheikhs and imams feel a personal connection in prayer? I mean, you know you should be praying 5 times a day, every day, but you're not. But it's okay because you're a good person, and God is merciful after all.
I want to start by saying that I am in no way claiming to be a sheikh, scholar, or an imam of any sort. So why then should you listen to me? Well, I may not be all that, but I've definitely gotten far along in this journey and, like you, strive to get further along every day. If you think about it, this is kind of like Pascal's wager for you, where you've got nothing to lose and everything to gain. I'll tell you what, if you think all of what I've said is crap, then please drop a dislike, and I apologize in advance for your wasted time. But if you've got the time and open mind, then I invite you to listen to the story of Muhammad. No, not the Prophet, but a young man in our time whose story I believe we can all gain something from. Like many of his peers, Muhammad is not really the most religious of people. And by that, of course, I mean he's borderline heathen because we've dropped the standard rather low as a community. So he's not that bad. He doesn't pray, hasn't touched the Quran since his last breakdown. The last time he put his head on the floor in prostration was in Jum'ah. And the only time he does ablution or wudu is when he's showering. But life's going great for Muhammad. He's got great friends, he's healthy, he goes to school and passes with ease. He's got a great house, a large family, and loving parents. He had his issue, but what's one piece of coal in a mountain of gold? Nonetheless, with enough avoidance and negligence, he found himself in a situation that he just couldn't get himself out of. He was in a dilemma. Was he to hurt himself or those who cared about him? And what was more important? His happiness or how people saw him, and more or less their happiness too. It was a decision he couldn't bring himself to make. So he decided to do what he's already been doing for months. Continue ignoring his issue. On one of those many negligent nights that Muhammad was having, he decided to do something that was going to change his path forever. After the usual nagging he received from people around him to get up and pray, he decided he was going to get up and do it for their sake. While in this connectionless, rushed, meaningless prayer, Muhammad decided he was going to make a small supplication in the 4th rak'ah. All he said was, "Oh Allah, if you know that I can't take myself out of this situation and into a better one, then please do it for me." The goddamn audacity. 2 weeks go by and event after event, life just seems to get harder for Muhammad. His situation just kept intensifying. Like the filaments on the inside of an operating toaster, the heat just kept rising on this whole thing. Up until... Without any hesitation, he made one phone call, and within a few sentences, the entire situation just dissolved. So what changed in this mysterious situation? Well, that's the thing. Nothing did. It wasn't the situation or the circumstances that changed, it was Muhammad's feelings towards them that did. And the even more beautiful thing, he didn't do anything to change them. There was no explanation to how this all became so effortless except for one simple thing. The response to his call for divine intervention. Intervention from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So is that the purpose of this video? To pressure yourself until there's no one but God to turn to? Or to wait for God to pressure you into His mercy? Well, that would be the message if that was where the story ended. Clear of all the worries of the last half year, Muhammad felt nothing but relief and pleasure. This was for the next few days, of course, because that was when it struck him that this was all the doing of Allah, and that, as he's been doing for quite a while, he went right back to ignoring Him. So he began praying. He'd pray 1 or 2 on a bad day, 3 or 4 on the best days, but within a couple of weeks, as he went out more in summer and returned to his usual routine, he found himself inconsistent with it all. So an agonizing question kept repeating on and on in his brain. Is my gratitude not enough to keep me on my prayers? Well, was something wrong with him? Did Allah hate him? Or was he just ungrateful? With this newfound worry, burden, and discomfort, Muhammad couldn't help but find himself overthink on some nights. As undesirable as that may sound, it was the key to his next move. Because all it took was one simple thought. What if I had no one, no sheikh, no parent, no friend, no sibling to help me? How would Allah communicate the solution to my problem to me? And it hit him. That already existed. The Quran. With a fresh sense of hope, Muhammad got up the next day and began what turned out to be a miraculous and vital hunt for knowledge. For the next 2 weeks, he did nothing but spend hours watching YouTube videos of various scholars explaining numerous stories, pieces of wisdom, and miracles of the Quran. He cherry-picked chapters of the Quran and listened to different recitations of them. But when he couldn't understand, he found himself doing something that many would have shamed him for, which is reading translations. Right there, he understood something. His journey was strictly between him and Allah. He began finding answers for questions like, who is Allah? And why Islam? And who is Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him? And even though these questions were never something he set out to find answers for, they played a key role in fixing his problem, because now he wanted to pray. Now he found beauty in bowing his head down to his Lord. He wanted reasons to talk to the Creator. He wanted to ask for things from him. And Muhammad wasn't perfect, but he realized that he didn't need to be. He just needed to build a connection with his Creator and that he could go from there. He understood that prayer wasn't just some routine or habit, it was a means for building a connection with the Creator. Months went by and he only got better. He kept following the same system of showing up and seeking improvement. And he found it, time and time again. With ups and downs for sure, but every time he'd look down, he'd find himself higher up on the mountain. It was never laziness, it was never ungratefulness, never inconvenience, and never life getting in the way. It was always the same issue. A lack of desire. It wasn't supposed to be something that he felt he needed to do. It was supposed to be something he felt like doing. Soon after, Muhammad found himself in another issue. But things were different now. You see, building a relationship with Allah wasn't the answer to his problem. It was the answer to all his problems and then some. It was the answer to everything. And it always will be. The question remains, however, do you want a relationship with Allah? Or do you feel like you should have one? Honestly, all I have to say is Allahumma laka alhamd, Allahumma laka alhamd, Allahumma laka alhamd.